Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to teach you exactly how I have my lights set up for my bearded dragon. A lot of people ask this and they just want a visual guide, and I got you. Let's get into it. As you can tell, this is very simple. This is how I have it set up. Now you're probably wondering, why is this here? Now this is just an LED light to help brighten up the cage. As you can tell, it's really dark. If I turn it on, bam, it's much brighter. And this is just to grow my plants in here. This is like the snake plants and stuff like that, and to provide extra light. Now, you don't have to have this at all, and that's why I turned it off. To let you know, all you need is this right here. You just need this setup. And you don't necessarily have to have it exactly like this. So I have two heat domes. Now this is a Arcadia 12% light right here. And you can use a 14%. The reason I use a 12% is because my basking spot is much higher. And I have two 80-watt halogen heat lamps. You could use two ZoomEd 100-watt heat lamps, and that's just to get the correct temperatures. I can't tell you what bulbs to use exactly because you're going to have to use the bulbs that get you to an appropriate basking temperature. An appropriate basking temperature for my girl right here is 100, for all bearded dragons, is 104 to 110 degrees, give or take. Depends on if they sit in it hardcore, if they don't sit in it hardcore. And we can measure that like this. And you can test it, like I said, with a temperature gun. Now this is a perfect basking area. Look at that, 105 right on the log. It's between 105 to 108 around this area of the log. Perfect basking temperature for my girl Cupcake. That's also why it's really good to have a thermometer, so that way you can test out. Now the ambient air temperature in this area of the cage is about 80s to 90s. It depends on how cold the day is. And she's appalled that I'm in here doing this. Look at her, she's like, how dare you just come in my house and mess around in my house? You didn't even knock first. Now, there's multiple ways. I'll go over a couple of ways that you can do this. But if you're going to put an Arcadia UVB bulb on top of the screen, let's see, I rose my basking area up. It's only like 12 inches away, so it's perfect for her. And we could test it like this. We have our solar meter right there. And as you can tell, perfect UVI. Bearded dragons need a UVI of 3.0 to like 7.4. And as you can tell right there, perfect right on the basking spot. Kind of goes up. And if we get really high, it's getting lower because that's the end of the tube, so it's not as strong. 3.8. Look at that. So this is where she likes to sit, as you can tell. And right now she's getting a 3.3. Actually a little bit more because she's a little bit higher up right there, 3.6. But like I said, I have a solar meter. You don't have to. I have an entire guide for the UVB if you want to check that out on the channel. But for a 4x2x2, if you are going to put on screen tops like a Dubia Roche's enclosure, I would say get the Arcadia 14% instead of the 12%, unless your basking spot is pretty high like this one right here. But I still say go ahead and go get the 14% for the Dubia, because the screen mesh blocks so much UVB from it. So go ahead. And this is some like really like big holes, so like a lot of UVB comes through, it doesn't block it so much. And I always have to tell people this, but you have to have the UVB and the heat on one side. You can't have it on this side. And don't mind that, like I said, we'll just put this over here. You have to have your UVB and your heat right next to each other. They have to be right next to each other. UVB can't be on this side, okay? You can't have it like this. This is wrong. You do not want it that way. You want your UVB on this side right here. You want it just like that. Now you can switch up the lighting depending on how you have it below. Like and plus if you live in a warmer climate, like say you live in Florida, you have no air conditioning, and you can get appropriate temps with just one light, then go right ahead and do that. Some people, they like to do it like this, to where it's like that. That's perfectly fine. Some people like to do with just one. We'll put this heat lamp over here. If you're getting appropriate temperatures, with just one heat lamp, and you want to do it like this right here, that's perfectly fine too. Or like this, but it has to be right next to each other. So that way they're getting UVB when they bask. They're getting both of the heat and the UVB right next to each other. So you can have it any way you want to, but you want these right next to each other. But like I said, mine, I like to do it like this one right here. That is my favorite lighting setup. To me, it's perfect because I get the heat zones. This is a pretty hot zone. Oh, there's a hot zone, but right here is the perfect mix. It's perfect UVB, and that's where she hangs out. And the reason is because they need, just like in the wild, they need a very hot area to go out and bask, get the UVB, the heat they need, but they need a shaded area, just like this side over here. Sorry if it's blurring up, but they need an area to go cool off in that's shaded, that's a little cooler than the hot side. So if they get too hot, they go cool off right over here. Also, if you do want to use this LED light, like this right here, I've heard some people, their bearded dragons like to go bask under this, and it's because it's super, super bright. So what you need to do is you need to make this side brighter than this side. If this side right here is your bearded dragon's avoiding the basking sign and going and basking right under this light, that means that this area, this light right here, is way brighter than this side, which can happen. So what you need to do is you could put another LED daylight on this side to really brighten up this side of the cage. Or you could just simply not use an LED like this right here, just go with the classic setup. But I grow plants, so I have to use the LED light to make my plants grow. And a lot of people ask me how I mount UVB inside of the tank. Now, you don't have to use such a long UVB like this one right here. This is just the one I had. I use it for my bearded dragon, my male bearded dragon. But what I do is I cut holes. If you can see, I can't focus, it is so dark. Let me turn the lights on more. If you can see, this is just zip ties, and I just made a little loop, and I just fed it through there, and the same way down there. And all I do to do this is I just cut a hole in the screen. If you can see it very well, there's just screen. Like, this is just regular screen. I cut a hole with some pliers right there. Got some dust on me. And then right there, I make a little loop. Don't want to make it too tight, but just make a big loop. This is some pretty big zip ties. And I just feed it through like that right there. And that's how I mount it on the inside. Now, you don't need a big one, like I said. And also, I use this lighting setup for my male. Like I said, different lighting setups work for different ways. This works perfectly because I do have it angled slightly so the UVB is blasting this whole area over there. Right now, he's just chilling though, so he's not there. In the mornings when he wakes up, he goes right there though. Now, for closed top tanks, I hope that we can look at this. I know it's going to be difficult because the lights, just the lighting is so hard. It does come with some little screws, if you could see right there. Let me see if, oh, thank God. It's just harder because, you know, the lighting is blasting at this camera. Okay, so there it is. So this will come with some mounting screws. Oh my God, I can't even see what I'm doing. And I'll just mount it with a screwdriver into the top of a hardtop enclosure like that. And I'll do that to the other side right there. And as you can tell, I use 2 UV lights in this enclosure and 2 heat lamps. These actually, I think this is a 75 watt and this is a 50 watt. But that's different because I have a UV, you don't have to use 2 of these. This is just because I'm crazy. And I have a solar meter and I went around and made sure it was okay. But on the inside, it will have some clamps. Excuse me, I don't know what they're called. It'll have some installation pieces so you can mount your UVB on the inside of this. You can have to screw it in. Now, I will say, the screws that come with this UVB, like the Arcadia, was a little too long for my, oh my God, I'm sorry. This is incredibly hard. Okay, so the screws that came with this were too big. I had to go to Home Depot and get some new screws that were much smaller to fit in this. And I screwed it in and it was great. And so if it is, the screws are too long, because like I made this piece right here. Let's zoom out again. So this is actually a piece of plywood, and this is like 3/4 inch plywood. And the screws that came with were gonna like pop out the top, so I had to get like thinner, smaller screws. So if it does come with them, you might have to do that. Like I said, it comes with the stuff to mount them on in the inside of a closed top tank like this. And that's all I have for you. I hope that was helpful. Just a really quick guide on exactly how I do it. If you enjoyed and it helped you, like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.